A person who thinks all the time has nothing to think about except thoughts. So he loses touch with reality and lives in a world of illusions. By thoughts, I mean specifically chatter in the skull, perpetual and compulsive repetition of words, of reckoning and calculating. I'm not saying that thinking is bad. Like everything else, it's useful in moderation. A good servant, but a bad master. And all so-called civilized peoples have increasingly become crazy and self-destructive because through excessive thinking they have lost touch with reality. That's to say, we confuse signs, words, numbers, symbols, and ideas with the real world. Most of us would have rather money than tangible wealth, and a great occasion is somehow spoiled for us unless photographed. And to read about it the next day in the newspaper is oddly more fun for us than the original event. This is a disaster. For as a result of confusing the real world of nature with mere signs, such as bank balances and contracts, we are destroying nature. We are so tied up in our minds that we've lost our senses. Time to wake up. What is reality? Obviously, no one can say, because it isn't words. It isn't material, that's just an idea. It isn't spiritual. That's also an idea, a symbol. Reality is this.
Hi guys, so it's me, Alex. And today's video is not just about Alan Watts. It's gonna kind of revolve around that, but not quite. It's more about me. But Alan Watts really has to do with me. So, yeah, so we'll get into both Alan Watts and my issues, but I want to make a little disclaimer before I start. Today's video is going to be different. It's not going to be the same as everything else that I post on this channel, and you have to understand that going into this. So, yeah. It might be better, it might be worse, I don't know. That's for you to judge. But, also, I'm extremely camera shy. I'm getting extreme anxiety over talking in front of this camera. It's not because of the issues that I'm talking about. I mean, somewhat, but not really. I'm just nervous being in front of the camera. I haven't done this in close to 3 months, like a legitimate video just like this, maybe more. Might be about 4 months. Yeah, I don't know. It's been quite a while since I had the intention of making a video and sitting in front of a camera and making that video. I don't count my birthday video as really what I'm talking. I did not sit in front of my camera. I can't even talk. I sat in front of my phone, which is different. It's not quite the same. I'm comfortable sitting in front of this, you know, for long periods of time. I do it all day. I don't sit in front of my camera quite often, so I'm a little nervous, and yeah, so I promised a lot this summer, and I always do, and I'm sorry I didn't do that also. I want to throw that out there before I begin. But I promised like a lot of videos that I was going to do, but I do that every summer, and I always disappoint myself, but I'm just gonna have to deal with it. So, some of the things that I promised might be coming in the future, but I don't know. We'll see. So enough about that. I want to talk about the topic at hand, and that's not Alan Watts. That's me. I've been dealing with stuff, and that's why I haven't been posting videos. I've been dealing with an existential crisis, essentially, is what it is. If you don't know what that is, it's kind of like dealing with your existence, trying to understand why you're here on this planet. Not don't misconstrue what I'm saying. I'm not depressed. I'm not like, you know, suicidal or anything like that. Do not misconstrue what I'm saying. I'm saying an existential crisis is essentially dealing with your existence and being confused about it. A lot of veterans have to deal with that. They kind of like don't understand why they're on this planet. They get very confused, and of course they get depressed and they have PTSD and they have to deal with so much. And I feel bad for those people, quite honestly. But you know, all sorts of different people from different walks of life have existential crises at different points in their life, especially at turning points in their life. Like mine right now, I just got out. I can't even talk. Out of high school, and I'm trying to understand who I am as a person and what I want to do with the rest of my life, and that's difficult. I still don't quite know what I want to do. Drinking some tea right now, by the way. But I don't know. I've just been dealing with a lot, and this video is mostly about that and how I listened to Alan Watts, particularly the talk that I played. It's about 40 minutes long, and it was so helpful for me to understand. My whole life I've been searching for answers. I want to know the truth. Whatever the truth is, I want to know it. No matter how damaging and difficult it is, I want to learn it. And I've learned a lot. I've dealt with a lot throughout my life. And I guess that's kind of why I have so much of a difficult time with this, is that I can't sort through it all. It's too much, you know? And especially when everyone in the entire world is telling me not to focus on things that matter to me. I don't care about money. I don't care about a career. I don't want a career. I want something that is flexible, something that I can change. I hate being confined to one thing for so long. You know, I hate the system. I hate the repetitiveness of life. I hate it. I hate it. It's so annoying to me. I want to adventure. I want to explore. I want to, you know, learn. Oh god, sorry. My eyes like twitched or something. I want to learn about life and experience life, because I won't have that much longer to live. I mean, obviously I have hopefully like 60 to 70 years to go, but to me, that's not enough time. That's too short, and especially if a majority of that time I'm going to be working and confined to a family unit and be married, and I want to experience the world now before I get entrapped into those systems of control. You know what I mean? And that's, I guess, why I'm struggling so bad, is that I want to do it now. I want to go travel the world. I want to go, read all these books and, learn all these different religions, and I want to know, you know, all there is to know about the world, and there's so little time in my eyes, and I guess that's kind of why I have the issues that I do. But my problem's been philosophical mostly. I have my own issues, things that I'm sorting through, but they're not as big as the big questions that I have about life and trying to find meaning in the craziness that we call life. So I'm going to play another clip by Alan Watts from the same talk, where he talks about this experience that we have of being alone and trying to understand it all, and we feel so alone and so down because we're fighting the world essentially all by ourselves. At least that's how we perceive it. So I'm going to play that clip now.
You feel that you are a lonely, put upon, isolated, little stranger confronting all this. See? You have an illusory feeling, because the truth is the reverse. You are the whole works that there is, that always was and always has been and always will be. Only, just as my whole body has a little nerve end here, which is exploring and which contributes to the sense of touch, you are just such a little nerve end for everything that's going on. Just as the eyes serve the whole body and help it to find its way around, so you are, as it were, serving the whole universe. You're a cell in it. And it's exploring itself. So that you as a function, you are a function of all that. And therefore, if this is so, it just doesn't fit these facts do not fit the way we feel. Because we feel it the other way around. I am a little lonely thing exploring all this universe and trying to make something out of it, get something out of it, do something with it. And I know I'm going to fail because I know I'm going to die one day. So we're all fundamentally depressed. And think up all these fantasies about what's going to happen to us when we're dead and all that kind of thing.
So, I love the metaphor that he gives about us being nerve endings of the universe, and how the universe is this big celestial body, and how, like, our individual experiences are just a small glimmer of what it really means to be alive, and what the universe actually is. And that's kind of where I'm at, is I'm stuck in this point of feeling alone and trying to understand my experience, and knowing what my experience is somewhat. I'm still sorting through it and trying to understand what it means to be alive, and all that. But that's what he talks about, and how we have these like fantasies of death, and how we think we're going to live forever in some other land like heaven or paradise, or We're going to be reborn as something else. That's also an issue that I've had, is that I've kind of fantasized about living forever, and how I have tricked myself somewhat into believing that, because we all die. It's a fact, we all die. And unfortunately, from what I've found, I don't believe that the ego survives through the travel into the next realm, wherever that is. I think that consciousness exists beyond our own existence here on this planet, but I don't think the ego survives through that. I don't think we go to a heaven in the sense that our ego goes there. It's just the conscious experience ends up there. So yeah. So this kind of leads to what he was saying later on.
So, do you see now why, if I put it to you in this very negative way, you can't do anything to change yourselves, to become better, to become happier, to become more serene, to become mystics or anything. If I say you can't do a damn thing, can you understand this negative statement in a positive way? What I'm really saying is that you don't need to.
You can't do a darn thing about it. You can't do a darn thing. That's what he tells you. And it's true. That's how life is. You can't do a darn thing about this existence. And we are going to die. We are not going to succeed in all these glamorized expectations that we have about changing ourselves, changing our environment, changing everything. We want to be something else that we're not. But we can't. And we can't ever fully understand our thoughts, our existence, reality. We can't ever understand that because we're using our ego to define that. We're using apples to define oranges. It's not the same thing. Reality is a totally different thing than our ego. And that's kind of what I've been dealing with, is I have been convinced that my ego is something very important in defining what I am, when in fact I'm totally wrong. It's the experience itself. It's important. I don't know if that makes any sense to you, but that's kind of what I've been dealing with. And I guess Alan Watts is kind of, especially in this lecture specifically, has helped me somewhat understand my issue, and kind of highlighting that to me, why I'm having such a difficult time sorting through my existential crisis, because it's I'm looking at it the wrong way. That's essentially what it is. I need to live in the moment. I need to do everything that I've said that I want to do, but I need to actually put it into action and stop overthinking. That's my issue, is that I'm overthinking it. I'm overthinking everything. I'm trying to define and understand things that cannot be defined and understand, and put into meaning. Literally, this world is so crazy. It's not easy. It's not possible to fully understand what's going on behind the scenes. And I guess I have to come to terms with that eventually. And until then, I'm not going to be happy. So I guess that's what I'm trying to get out, is that I think everybody that is trying to be spiritual and trying to understand the universe is they're all looking at it the wrong way. They're trying to make sense of it. I think the important thing is being more confused as you go along, because it kind of shows you that life is unpredictable and that existence itself is super fragile and that your understanding of it is quite wrong. So, yeah, I love Alan Watts. I suggest you go look at his stuff. It is very helpful. I don't agree with everything he says, and I kind of agree with his critics. He sometimes babbles about things that don't make sense. But I think he uses lots of metaphors like I do. Alan Watts is a bit difficult to understand at times because he uses lots of metaphors, and he goes on tangents about topics that seem unrelated. And he uses lots of allegories to prove points of his. And if you don't think that way, he's probably really difficult to understand, and he doesn't come across quite rational, I guess. But if you do think in lots of metaphors and allegories, and that helps you understand things, then Alan Watts is perfect for you. He helps me a lot to kind of think things in a different perspective than I did before. And I like his talks because he puts everything that you know, or at least me, out in front of you all at once, and he kind of like assorts it for you. Most of the stuff that I hear on Alan Watts's lectures, I've known close to a year or more about, specifically his spiritual talks and such. I, knew all that stuff well ahead of time. But he does kind of collect everything and presents it to you, and then kind of changes your perspective on the topics. And he has a lot of great talks about self-empowerment and getting through depression and, the terrible things in our society and fixing those and seeing things in a more positive light. So I really suggest you listen to his stuff. It is not for everybody, but it's helpful for those who actually understand and enjoy his talks. So I'm happy that I shared my favorite philosopher with you. Stay safe, people. I love you. Even if I don't know you, I still love you as a human being, as a brother or a sister, and God bless. See you all later. Stay safe.